This is for the nerds. This is for the brainiacs. This what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back. You ain't gonna touch me. You not gonna do nothing. You are not above me. I bet you wish you was me. I know it, I know.
What is poppin', everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Only Friends podcast. You know, with all my friends, except for, you know, the Malaysian ankle biter. He's not with us today. But, you know, we got the dark side in the building.
Did you just come up with that nickname now?
Well, no, it was like 14 seconds ago when I said, is Andre Filipino? And he said, no, he's Malaysian. So I was like, okay, the Malaysian ankle biter, not the Filipino. Anyway.
Filipino.
So, you know, we got the dark side in the building today.
It's good to be back. I literally woke up, took a phone call that was important for the podcast, and then I ran over here.
All right. We're glad to have you, you know? Yinzers.
Man, I look bright.
The Yinzers
We fixed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you look good. I'm lighting up the room. I'm getting my master's in production.
No, it's just your personality.
This is dark. You guys look dark and red.
We look hot.
Burke, did you really just shove a handful of sunflower seeds in your mouth right before we went live?
Yeah. That's less concerning to me. This shot looks very warm. We're going to need to turn down the...
Why are you talking with sunflower
saturation?
If you guys don't know, Matt Berkey's new career is going to be production and lighting.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be going around to all the sets and making sure everything's well lit. If you guys look over to the kitty corner,
Our lighting's pretty sick.
the kitty corner is
You're
looking
welcome.
Great.
very popping right
Does
now.
look great.
You're welcome.
This is where Berkey figured it out.
Thank you, Matt.
He figured out his future right
I
here.
feel like there's high variance in this lighting, right? Because like his
It's
lighting.
less high variance than when the window was open.
Oh, the windows open was
Yeah,
crazy.
that's
That
definitely
was
true.
crazy.
I mean,
I took care of you, man. I got you backlit now. It's nice.
yeah, no,
Doesn't look like you're living in a dungeon. I know that you don't appreciate that, but...
I
you know.
appreciate you, man. I appreciate you.
chin
You don't
shot's
share those
popping.
sunflower seeds.
Your little
This
baby
is
bird.
so I don't talk as much.
We finally got it.
That's how we do it. That's how we
It doesn't
figured
seem
it
like
out.
it's working, though.
No, it's not.
Oh,
It's
man.
not
Oh,
working.
man.
Our shot's a little hot, man. I'm not...
He's tilted.
I'm a little
He's tilted
upset.
on his
Honestly,
shot.
not for nothing. You finally look olive.
No, I don't look olive. I
It
look...
looks red.
He looked like he just came back from Santo
like I'm-
Domingo,
This is a
Dominican
salmon.
Republic.
This is a salmon shirt, but it looks orange as fuck
It
on
looks
the screen.
I look
orange.
like I'm
You know,
Cherokee.
honestly, you guys don't look that bad. I was looking at that screen over there. I'm looking over here. You don't look that bad.
No, we look right on that screen.
Yeah.
We don't look right on that screen, though.
Which is the right one?
We don't know.
This one's
We'll
right.
never know.
It's this
It's
this
somewhere in
one.
between. It's somewhere in
no,
between.
On YouTube, we look
It's
good.
somewhere in
Yeah, you
between.
guys look fine. You guys look
Yeah,
fine.
Yo, shout out to
yeah.
Biggie Swoles.
There you go.
Remember,
Only
for
that
2
matters,
months
YouTube.
now.
Biggie Swole's the man.
All right, what's up, Connie?
Ain't shit. You know, this Saturday, we're having a mastermind on Discord. Money J2K will be holding a mastermind this Saturday, October 29th at 4 p.m. You can go head over to our Discord, and
It's free.
it's free. Go sign up and just hang out. Kick it with Money J2K. Learn a few
Right.
things. Mr. Sushi from our Discord community is going to be holding a mixed game party.
What was that word?
Mr.
Sushi?
I can't say
Sushi.
it. Don't do it to me. Don't do it to me. I can't say sushi. I know.
Sushi, Filipino.
I already know that I couldn't say that. So I was like, before, when I was like, fuck, I got to say this out loud. I got to say sushi. I can't do it.
It's yeah.
Say it with me here,
Right.
Conrad. We're going to get syllable by
Sue.
syllable.
Alright.
Sue.
Shoe.
She.
No, not
Like the name.
Sue.
No.
Sue.
Right. Like the
Sushi.
girl's
No.
name Sue.
Like suing. Like
the girl's name Sue.
Yeah, there you
and
go.
It's
then,
not shoe. It's
She.
Sue.
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 And then the pronoun
Sushi.
she.
Yeah, there you go.
Sue she.
That's
All
not.
right, I'm glad we got that. I'm
This has
glad
been quite the intro. Wow.
Well, anyway, Mr. Sue, she
yeah.
is going to be holding 3-6 mixed games this Friday at Resorts World. I believe it is at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, it's his birthday.
It's his birthday, so, you know,
Told him we'd show him a little love, try to show up.
Absolutely.
I won't be there. I'll be in LA, but, you know.
you did this.
well,
You did this.
I don't like mixed games.
Can we get Mr. Sushi and Sashimi to collab on something?
I think we probably can. She'll probably be at Resorts World, you know?
It could be shishi.
I think I'll be in the building, you know? I love mixed games.
Yeah.
So I gotta go get it popping.
3-6 mixed
We're gonna play
games.
some 3-6 with him.
You do have an eclectic record in the WSOP for your mixed game prowess.
Why, thank you. Brandon. Actually, I do.
I know.
You know,
I thought maybe this would be a chance for you to clear your tab.
the 3-6 mix games.
Yeah.
There's a good chance at it. You know.
They better not play split pot game.
Nobody wins in those. Yeah.
So going into this weekend, the Yins has got a little matchup going.
We do.
Yins just got a little matchup. Brian woke up this morning. He's like, yo, Berkey's not going to be on the pod Thursday and Friday. I need to rub this in first.
Right. I was like,
before the
well,
win."
you know, I'm not rubbing anything in, but like just because I'm a favorite.
Hedge your bets here. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I am a favorite. I am, according to Yahoo, which, you know,
It's
whatever.
normally somewhat
But
correct.
I am a favorite.
33-point favorite.
Yeah, 2-1. There we go.
Sorry, 23-point favorite.
In Berkey's defense, he does have his number one quarterback on a bye. I believe you've Herbert, right?
Yep, that's true.
Yeah. My team though is coming together real nice, I must say.
I have to
We got
tell you.
ETN now in there, who's, you know, once they got rid of Robinson, now he's the featured back for sure. And I mean, just look at those. Look at that team. I mean, it's beautiful.
I gotta tell you, looking at it, they're all overhyped.
They're all overhyped. Yeah, Derrick Henry's overhyped.
Derrick Henry.
Tyreek Hill, the number one wide receiver in the league, he's overhyped.
He's fine.
Yeah,
Kyrie
he's
Murray is not gonna average 26 points. Like, come on, let's be real. You're
I
looking
mean,
at like,
in this league, he will.
you're looking at
because-
like an 18 burger there.
no.
At Minnesota.
18 burger.
No.
I
I mean, he's not the greatest.
I'll tell you what. I'll take the under on your 158.
Wow.
You'll take the under on my 158.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are we betting here? What are we betting here? Tell me.
Oh, you tell me,
Okay.
man.
Well, man, this is on you, baby.
I mean, he's proposed the bet. I don't know.
all right, fine, $20.
Wow, you're cheap. Okay.
Yeah,
$20.
$20. $20.
It's a gentleman's bet.
Could have easily got
Gentlemen's.
me. Easily could have got me for 10x.
Nice. It's 158 on the dot too. So that's
That's nice. That's
that
nice.
makes it easy.
All right, 158 on the dot's a push.
158 on the dot to push. Yeah.
In other news, Kanye.
Yo, that shit was crazy.
Kanye. Adidas, Balenciaga, Vogue, and Anna Wintour. A talent agency, his lawyer, his streams, sales, airplay, everything dropped. Restricted from IG. Documentary sales and his stadium shows are canceled. What does that equal, guys?
He thought he was bigger than cancel culture.
He's self-sabotage.
He found out real quick that
Self-sabotaging.
nobody is.
Guys, you know how much
Right.
that cost? $600 million. He is no longer a billionaire. Forbes has him at $400 million right now. Which, you know, whatever. So sorry.
He's not starving.
Yeah, you know, he's not starving.
He's
But that is-
basically impoverished.
I mean,
what's he gonna do?
I mean, you know, according to his lifestyle, he might be.
Do you
Maybe.
think maybe he did this so that he can get alimony off of Kim? Now that
Ooh.
she's the
he just hiding some money overseas and he's
Yeah.
gonna get some alimony.
like she's the breadwinner now for
Oh,
sure,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think she was before, right?
I think she was too.
She had more than $1 billion?
Yeah, I think
I think the collective.
No.
Honestly,
But
guys.
the
Collective,
family for
so.
sure.
Kylie,
Yeah.
Kylie Jenner definitely has more than $1 billion.
She's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty sick. All because of some comments you wanted to
There you
make.
go. 1.8.
Oh my
God
God.
damn.
Yeah.
Can you pull
Yeah,
up
they're
Kylie?
all. I mean, a lot.
I'm curious on what Kylie's is.
No.
I feel like she
not
just
a-
dropped
Kylie's
below.
definitely over $1 billion too
She's-
because of her makeup line.
How do you know all this?
That is Mr.
This is our
fucking
resident reality
everything.
TV
You want to know
expert.
about reality TV? I'll let you know. You want to know about barbecue? I'll let you know. You want
Yeah.
to know about Taylor Swift's new album? It's fire.
There we go.
Our resident Swifter
Okay,
in the
so
house.
yeah, because I remember Kylie was like billion, but then she dropped down a little. But Kim now has a bunch of. She has a bathroom line that is concrete trash cans, just concrete. You can't put anything stained in it because it will stain the trash can.
So
That's-
I'm sorry.
Who,
And they're
Who's
just
using these?
I don't know, but it's like $150 for like a small concrete.
Like
Her
for
half a
for your
billion
house?
followers.
Yeah, just for your home.
did you guys watch the interview with Lex
alright.
Friedman or no?
No, I
No.
didn't.
Not yet.
I watched it. It was tense at times because he would refer to like it being Jewish media and he would say like, no, like if you're gonna call out people as
Specifically,
individuals,
yeah.
right? Like if you have a problem with them, you call them out as individuals. He kind of did not budge on it and just like kept calling it like Jewish media, stuff like that.
It's very odd.
And Lex didn't really take well to it, but he tried to. Lex is a really professional podcaster. Like he's not. He didn't really budge, but he did give him like, harsh criticism, I would say, over those comments.
Yeah, and it's like these, it's why it's such a problem, because Kanye has such a big platform, right? And then he uses these anti-Semitic tropes, right? Oh, the Jews run all of media and everything like that. And then that's what snowballs this anti-Semitism.
It's almost like I feel like he is so far removed from regular people that, like, even with comments about, he was saying, when he was modeling his clothing after homeless people, he's saying we should all look towards the homeless for inspiration for fashion. It's like, I think he's just so far removed that he doesn't understand the implications of what he says.
I mean, that hoodie's fire.
That hoodie is
But
fire.
That hoodie is
I agree with what you're saying.
Yes.
that hoodie's trying to look like a painter, dude.
I like it.
No,
I like
that
it a lot.
shit's trash.
I like the like.
Ew,
Look
it looks
at his
bad. It looks
hand.
like it has
Look at his
cum all over
arm. Like, it's
I don't like the hat. I don't like the hat, but
weird.
I like the weathered look.
Nah.
I agree with what you're saying. I will say it seems like a real dangerous game to play if you truly do believe that Jewish Americans are running the media space.
Yeah.
To then make anti-Semitic comments
Yes.
when you are directly involved in the media
Right.
space.
He originally
Like, this is such a lose-lose. Either you're right,
Right.
and you lose 600 million, or you're wrong and,
you
you're
lose
just a
600
racist.
million.
I mean, he originally started with slavery was a choice, like 6 months earlier.
Do you remember? I mean, remember old Kanye when it was during the Live Aid things? I remember I was like in elementary school, and he just takes the mic from Mike Myers and goes, "George Bush doesn't care about black people." Mike Myers is like, "What the fuck?"
You can't do that to a Canadian man. That's like way too abrasive. They don't know where to
George
go
Bush
to from
doesn't
there.
care about black people.
Just sitting here talking about this. Talk about the highs and lows. Like, he's gone from.
He's got
time out.
every stance there is.
They did mention that on the podcast, where it was like, even that, like, the George Bush just doesn't care about black people. Like, at least he called out an individual, right? Like, it was like, hey, this person
That's true.
specifically,
and it was for his own culture.
right? It was like,
Right.
this person doesn't care about basically us,
Yeah.
right? Not like Jewish people are doing X, Y, and Z,
Yeah,
right?
it's.
So it's
I
a big
wonder
difference.
where this started, though.
Trevor Noah kind of had a good take. People were saying, you're beefing with Kanye, and he said, no, I'm not beefing with Kanye. Like, he's like, I actually feel bad, not to excuse anything that Kanye's doing, but like he has admitted himself, Kanye has admitted himself, that he does have mental issues and mental problems. And when he gets off of his meds, he does,
I think
this
is the sad part about it. Like,
right,
I
this
think
is
we're
the sad part
seeing
about it.
things get progressively worse.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, we're kind
yeah.
of seeing the mental illness rise in himself, and it's just like, well, are we just gonna watch? Like, who's in his
it's what
corner?
happens when it goes
watching it in real time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes unchecked, and that's kind of, bro, you're lighting, man. You look so fresh right now.
Yo, finish your statement.
hitting
Look
on
at
you.
that light.
Lamana,
God
watch out. He's
damn.
hitting on
You see
Jin now.
this
It's
shit?
not you anymore.
Man.
No, but like that
Lost
is
my
what
man.
happens. That is
He's over the Nikki
got you,
Glazer
man.
stage. Yeah.
that is what happens.
Wait. You want me?
Hold on. I have a funny follow up to the Nikki Glazer thing, but let's stick on this for a second. That is what happens whenever you get so big that type of shit goes unchecked, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think his inner circle looks like? You think
Hold on,
there's
let me lick
anybody
my
in there?
lips for you, dog.
I feel like I should give you guys some privacy.
Oh wait, what was the Caitlyn thing like?
What is going on here? No, but like, what do you think his inner circle looks like? There isn't anybody.
I don't think
around
there's
him.
All yes
any.
men.
I think
yes
it's
men.
all business people, like all
Yeah,
people that
nobody's
make money
checking him.
from
No,
Kanye.
right.
That's rough.
And like, not to stick people into a neat box, but like, just judging by the types of people that he tends to like surface with, it seems like he has a slight gravitational pull to the extremely wealthy white racist man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like he's
You're not
projecting these
wrong.
ideas of
Well, didn't he
like
say
people who
that?
probably a couple downlines in their lineage were like just slave owners.
Yeah.
And
But
they're
didn't he
unapologetic.
say that he's like striving to be like the white upper class person? Or he said something along those lines.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It seems like his stance has changed a lot. Like I feel like there was a point where he had some level of sanity and was speaking to empowerment to like the black
agree.
entrepreneur and things
Right.
like that. But like, yeah, he's fucking on one now.
It's a descent
That's
into
clear.
madness.
I think he just gets manic because we
Right.
don't hear from him for a while, and then
Yeah.
we see like this stuff come
Right.
out. And he's said before like he doesn't like taking, and I've heard this from other bipolar people too, where they don't like taking the meds because they feel like it dampens them, and he's like ruins my creative genius and all this. But then it's
I mean,
like,
he's
at
super
what
talented.
cost?
That's the crazy
Yeah.
part about it.
course,
Like,
yeah.
super talented, both in most creative spaces, right? You're
His
looking
first
at.
album was still the best, though. It was all downhill from there. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna say.
No, the
I
first album was
agree
great.
with
But that happens a lot to
Graduation was
most
pretty good.
artists. Like the first album is the best album because they had their whole career to create this
Yeah.
one album, and then after that they get like a multi-album deal.
Once he
I
started
almost
doing
said
all the-
multi-CD deal.
Once
That's
he
crazy.
started doing the auto tune stuff, it was
808 Heartbreak.
Yeah, it was. That was
Didn't
it
he
for me.
also release an album with a cover art that said, "I hate being bipolar, it's awesome"? So he has.
No, but that's kind of cool.
Did he?
yeah. So like I'm looking it up now. It says that he like confirmed his bipolar diagnosis
Yeah, that's
with
been
this cover
confirmed for a
art that says,
while.
"I hate being bipolar." It's
I will
awesome."
say I kind of understand the take of yes, I'm bipolar, but no, I don't want to take my meds, because think of it from our perspective of having been in the poker industry for a long period of time, where we have become such good problem solvers and logical thinkers that we've reduced the extremes to almost non-existent, right? Like I know personally speaking that writing used to come incredibly easily to me, and I felt like I could churn out like really compelling short form writing based off of being in an emotional state.
Okay.
Right. So like, especially if I was going through like loss or frustration or like hurt, something along those lines, it was very easy to kind of pour that out into writing. And you end up with like a really creative piece that you're like, wow, people are going to read this and they're going to connect with it. Now, when I'm just like even kill 24/7, just like,
Yeah, you
I don't
sort
have
of get
anything to
used
say.
to like when you're in work mode, your emotions are off.
yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just get used. Your body gets used to. Oh, I'm working. Okay, emotions off.
No,
Yeah.
that happens to artists for sure. Like Ed Sheeran's best album, the X album, was
I don't know. Divide was good, man.
the
Ed
X album where
Sheeran
he won a
is
Grammy on the X.
Yeah,
I
that,
just
that was
love
one
that
that really
photo of
popped
Ed
off.
Sheeran going like this.
Ed Sheeran won.
It's like you don't even remember that trip to San Jose where we were just listening
No, I
to Divide
remember.
the whole
Dude,
way.
you want me to lick? You want me to lick my lips again? What you want me to do? Talk to me.
The tension is crazy.
So the Ed Sheeran album, which was the X album that won the Grammy, was done right after he got cheated on by the other artist. I forget her name.
Oh,
But-
yeah.
But that whole album was created right after that. And it was like a crazy good album, but it was built out of that pain
Yeah.
that came from him getting like publicly cheated on.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I mean,
This is why Taylor Swift is a chronic dater.
Yeah.
She
All
just
too
she
well.
literally
I mean,
dates for the heartache.
I
Wait,
mean,
isn't
yeah.
she dating fucking LeBron James' agent, Maverick
No.
Paul?
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Or no, that's Adele. I'm sorry, that's Adele.
Wait, I want to go back to this follow up from the Nikki Glazer.
So shout out to my man Baby Dick.
All right, dude. 6 start.
He's
What
a
have you
fella.
been doing in your free time? You're licking your lips and
No, no,
shit.
no.
You're saying shout out to Baby Dick.
Didn't you
What
see?
else going on
Didn't you
here?
see the Photoshop with him and Lindsay Rad?
No.
She posted it. So he's a fellow Yinzer. He's friends with
With Rigby.
Rigby, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just on one. He loves you, by the
Oh.
way, in case you were wondering.
Thank you. Thank you, Baby Dick.
But
That's a good entry point.
yeah. Hey, what up? I'm Baby Dick. How you
Yeah.
doing? But he was saying that his uncle is like big into comedy. Like he plays guitar for a lot of comedians or whatever. And he sent him a DM and was like, "Hey, do you know Nikki Glazer? Or like, are you close with her or whatever?" And his uncle's like, "Yeah, why?" he goes, "You don't know him, but my man Matt Berkey's like big in poker and he loves Nikki Glazer. Like, can you hook a friend of a friend up?"
Oh, man.
And the dude responds and goes, Well, I can't give him her number because she's in a very serious relationship right now. But next time she's in town, I'll get VIP backstage passes and he can shoot a shot.
Wow. There you go.
I said I'm no homewrecker.
Listen,
Shout out to Baby Dick.
let's get her on the pod.
Yeah, let's get her on the
Let's
pod.
get her on the pod.
She would. You would never see me more embarrassed than if that actually happened.
We'll bring Cuz on that episode too.
Yeah.
I think all of these
don't
things.
look so good, Cuz.
I think all these things that you think are a far-fetched dream are very achievable. Like having Pat McAfee on, having Nikki, I could see it happening.
I could see that one. Yeah.
I could see Barack
now that he's
Obama,
tweeted
bro.
at you and followed you.
We just gotta push,
I don't
man. We
know,
just gotta
man.
keep it
I just
going.
feel like Pat McAfee's a very busy man.
Yeah. I don't.
You never know though.
Maybe we'll just
He
go to
can
him.
carve out,
He does seem like he might have a little bit of a gambling itch, though.
Yeah.
A little bit of a gambling itch.
We live
maybe
right down the block.
Maybe we could scratch it a little
Where's
bit.
Where's the podcast filmed?
They're in Indianapolis.
The fuck?
Why
Nobody's
would you
going
do
there.
that?
He
there?
comes to Vegas.
I get it.
every
I
once
get
in
it.
a while.
That's where he played. But I'm saying that's
Oh.
crazy.
Yeah.
Where is College Game Day hosted?
Everywhere.
It rotates.
Yeah.
Every week.
So
Whatever
he
like the
travels-
biggest game of the week is, usually they're there.
It's in Alabama.
Right. So,
Half the year it's in Alabama.
will he ever be in
Roll
Vegas
Tide.
for that? Or
No.
no?
No,
UNLV's garbage, man.
It's all
Talk
SEC
about-
teams.
Yeah.
It's all
Can't
SEC
practice here.
Speaking of game day, well, I don't know if maybe they'll be in State College this week. It's Penn State, Ohio State.
Is it this week?
Yeah, but it's shocking to me that Penn State, Minnesota was a primetime game this past week,
I know.
and now Penn State, Ohio State's a noon start.
Yeah. Well, is it in Ohio State?
No, it's in Penn State.
Okay, because Ohio State, I
Yeah.
don't think they have.
Did you
lights.
guys get all your players?
They don't have lights at Ohio State.
They have to like rent them when they have night games. They very rarely have night games, but when they do, they have to like rent lights, set them up, and then take them down.
Typical fucking Ohio, man.
That
Cincinnati
is the
didn't.
biggest fucking football program
it's a
there
joke.
is.
I know.
Cincinnati Bengals just now got an indoor practice facility.
Really?
They were the last team in the NFL to get one.
Why?
This season was the first season having an indoor practice in Cincinnati.
That's
Right,
insane.
yeah.
It snows there.
Right.
Of course.
Wait,
Of course.
why is that the case?
Because they broke.
They're cheap as fuck, man.
It's just a choice.
Yeah, it's an owner's choice.
Small market team.
They're just trying to build, grit. That's what they're trying to do.
It took them going to the Super Bowl for their owner to go, all right, guys,
We
That
got
was
a
the deal.
chance now.
we'll get you a turf practice facility indoors. Put a goddamn roof on the dome. Go ahead.
Man, I've seen some of the training facilities at some of these colleges. They are insane.
Oh well, it's big business.
Yeah.
It's not. Yo, what's up, bro? It's big business. It's not. You're talking about college, but you're talking about pretty
of
much
course.
professional sports. at
Yeah,
that
yeah, of
point,
course. Like Arizona State has a massive training facility. It's so cool. I saw a video from just Twitter. They just had like a little sneak preview. And I was very excited. I was like, wow, this is great. Even though I'm never going to use it in my life. I just felt like I was part of it for a quick second.
You've turned into such the gym rat.
I'm a rat.
Such the bro.
I literally told you with the empanadas that I dissect the empanadas and eat them
I was
over the
watching
sink.
you do that today.
It was
I was
upsetting.
I was like, wow.
It's a fucking crime what Landon does.
upsetting.
These
At that point,
fucking empanadas.
I just don't eat them. Like I'm either gonna eat the empanada
Right.
the way it's supposed to be, the way it's meant to be, or I'm just not gonna eat it.
What's an empanada?
So the
Oh my god!
What the only reference to empanadas that I know.
Rocco, cut his mic.
Yeah.
What?
The only reference to empanadas that I know is I listen to have you guys ever heard of Gimlet Media?
No.
Okay, so it's like
Yeah, I've heard of that too. I know your culture and I know my culture.
it's not a cultural thing. Spotify bought them,
It's
but they,
Jewish.
No. Spotify bought them. They're just a podcast outlet, right?
Okay.
So they have like hundreds of shows, and there's this one show that is like a murder mystery show.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I know about empanadas is this woman becomes a murderer, and she's dating a guy who owns an empanada shop, and he grinds up the dead bodies and puts them in his empanada meat.
My man, do you know how many empanadas I eat on the week?
Well,
How many?
they were the most popular empanadas in NYC.
Like
So an empanada is like a
in
meat
the
pocket.
NYC?
Mm-hmm.
How many empanadas I've eaten from fucking NYC?
No, I'm saying in this
In this
podcast.
the Jewish.
Oh, okay. So it's like a joke.
In the
it's
Jewish
like,
podcast.
Well, it's not a joke.
It's a fakey.
Yeah, it's fiction.
Yeah, it's
All right.
fiction.
I just want to
It
make
didn't
sure.
happen.
Come
It
on,
didn't
man. I
really
want to make sure I
happen.
can go down the block and eat some fucking empanadas today.
I mean, there's a little truth to all jokes, right?
I think you would like empanadas.
Yeah.
It's just a meat pocket.
Yeah, it's just meat inside of a little.
It's like a
pastry
pierogi,
thing.
except there's meat in it instead of
So ravioli.
Oh,
No, it's not
it's deep,
ravioli.
it's deep fried.
Because it's like
Yeah.
bread.
It's-
What is
yeah.
that outside? Dough.
Is it deep fried or is
Dough.
it baked?
It's deep fried.
Deep fried.
Yeah.
And
You can do deep fried or baked.
Or baked. Yeah, those ones seemed baked today. Yeah.
they are? Okay.
Either way, I
Is-
don't want to eat the bread.
Is it bread or is it dough? What are we doing?
Bread dough
Dough.
thing.
Dough?
Yeah, dough.
It's dough. Wrapped
like
in beef and like some like seasoning
Well, it could be
inside.
whatever you want inside.
Chicken too, yeah. There's a spot down the block that has spinach ones, corn ones, a whole bunch of
They
stuff.
make egg ones.
They're really egg ones. I've never even
Yeah,
heard
they
of
have
that.
them in DR. They do whatever you want.
Speaking of murder mysteries,
Where are you going with this?
What?
there was a fucking car found by a landscaper.
Mhm.
Oh,
at
this
the-
is so weird.
at-
This
the
thread
room?
is bizarre.
Yo,
Wait. I don't know about this. Tell me.
all right. So a landscaper finds a car buried 4 to 5 feet underground at a home in near
Atherton?
on Stockbridge near Selby, with unused bags of concrete throughout the vehicle. Basically, they say the dogs had a scent of possible human remains, but no body has been
Keep reading
found?
the thread.
Yeah. So there was an update, and it says photos of the convertible Mercedes unearthed from Atherton Estate car reported stolen to the Palo Alto police in 1992 has vanity plate Lou J4.
So
We're in a
weird.
fucking sim.
Lou fucking J4 and was registered to the late Johnny Baktoon Lou, ex-homeowner who has previous arrests for murder and insurance fraud.
Wow. It's so crazy. Why would he have J4 there?
It's wild.
The
It's
plot-
just absolutely
the
wild.
plot's so thick.
So
I've never
What
even
is
like seen
this?
anyone else named Lou before this.
Now I see it everywhere.
Yeah,
But you know what? Like,
Randy Lou.
I've noticed, like, it's just a thing. It's probably just a brain thing because when I play now and I see, I feel like I get Jack 4 off
Me
like
too.
every other hand.
me too.
I'm like, why do I keep getting this fucking hand? But it's just because I never noticed it
Right,
before.
exactly.
The rest of the thread goes on. There was no human remains found. It was just an insurance fraud gig where it seems as though he wanted to dispose of the car somehow, and he got full repayment for what the car was worth, which was about $80,000 at the time.
Okay.
He just wanted his money
He was
back
just
from
a
his
con
car.
artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
And this was on a $15 million estate he lived?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Wow.
All right.
Wait, so
you
he
keep churning out $80,000 wins.
Yeah. Wait. So he lives in a $15 million estate.
No,
and
he's
there's-
dead.
He's dead
Okay,
now,
so
but
he's dead now.
apparently he was the ex-homeowner.
But ex-homeowner of a $15 million thing, but then wanted the $80K back for this specific car.
Sometimes
Gotta
you
eat,
don't-
man.
I mean,
Sometimes you're just living a little over
you
your
don't
head.
get to
Right.
$15 million estates without doing,
Listen,
some,
he
some
wasn't
saving
liquid. He
here and there.
needed a little liquidity, you know?
They do say pennies make pounds.
Exactly. It adds up.
Who says that?
They.
I've never heard that.
Pounds of what?
I don't even know if they have
Like,
pennies over there.
Goods?
Like you save pennies, you get
Are there
pounds.
pennies?
Well, the Great
in-
British Pound is not doing too well, so I think I'll pass on that.
There's
Yeah, that's
no
why it's called
pennies.
soccer now.
Yeah, it's soccer.
It's not
now.
football anymore. It's called soccer. We figured that one out.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
It's like it's like okay. Have you heard money saved is money earned?
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
Like
I
that.
don't believe in it.
Okay. Well, that's close. It's,
Money-
it's equivalent.
It's like if you
equivalent.
fold, it's like, yeah, like we saved
It's
that money.
adjacent.
Yeah.
It's adjacent. Yeah, it's
money adjacent.
Yeah.
Money adjacent.
Oh man,
Talking about money.
we need more.
These
Yes.
segues are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
We're
had-
on it.
I love it because it's always a pause, and then it kind of he takes a deep breath, and they'll just be like,
Because I honestly,
Kanye, Kanye.
I don't really know what the fuck I'm gonna say.
So anyway,
during that
you
deep
know who
breath-
would love to buy some barbecue? Hans Niemann.
Hey, you guys can't do this.
All right. So
He had a perfect.
Wait, this is the actual saying.
It actually
I'm
was a good
sorry.
segue. I
Yeah.
should
I'm sorry.
Shit all over it.
What are you saying, Jen?
take care of the pennies and the pounds will take care of themselves. That was the actual saying.
Take care of the pennies and the pounds will take care of themselves.
How do you know a 1500s, 1600s saying?
Me?
It's 1835.
Oh, 18. My eyes are
That's
bad.
what-
1835. It's all this online poker making my eyes go.
You gotta get those blue light glasses like Dylan Weissman.
I know. I need the blue sharks or whatever.
Blue Shark Optics.
Yeah.
Speaking about saving a penny,
Wait, what is this about Berkey's girlfriend getting him sweats?
I'm gonna fuck both of you up.
He's getting interrupted.
All right, go ahead.
Not so nice, is it?
Wait,
That chair gets a little hot, doesn't it?
it's fun. It's all right. I like it. It's cool. It's cool. So, talking about saving your pennies. There was a tweet from Lex O Poker.
Bro.
Oh, that is a good
was-
segue.
That was a good.
He says, if you play poker for a living, size of pot, 1, shouldn't dictate size of tip to dealer.
Hmm.
What else did he say?
Hold
That's
on.
it?
Leave that up there for 1 second, Guapo, please.
Sure.
I tip more or less according to speed, table control, friendship, attitude, etc. The fast, efficient dealers with a great attitude get tipped way more. The size of the pot shouldn't matter if you are playing poker for a living. So this got a lot of traction on the interwebs.
Yeah, it's controversial.
Very controversial. What do you guys think about this? Let's go around the room because he's not saying, when I read this, I was kind of like lost for a minute. I'm lying. I was lost for like 2 hours before the podcast. And I was walking
Yeah.
back and forth and I couldn't figure it
He
out.
kept saying, I'm confused by this.
I'm so confused. Is he saying that he only tips like, a certain amount?
He
And
basically tips $1 a hand.
yes. Is he saying that he tips, but he's also saying that he does tip more, I think,
with
to
I
like
don't know,
friendly,
like-
fast, good dealers.
I think he's just saying the metric by which he chooses his tip size is not pot size, it's service.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not about the size of the pot. It's just about the other attributes that he finds more important to giving tips.
Yeah,
to.
but the way I read it is it's not a $1 to X dollar scale. It's a $0 to
I
X
don't know,
dollar
but
scale.
this conversation is making me realize I probably tipped too much.
No, look,
It's okay
I don't
to be
know.
generous.
I
This
mean,
is-
like if it's like a dealer I see a lot, or like I'll tip them when they come to the table, when they leave the table.
I think. Look, this is. Forget about the.
You'd be
the
fun at a strip
whole,
I
thing.
am fun at a strip club.
What I find a
actually.
problem with is, I don't want to say I find a problem with it, but I
Talk
think
your shit.
I just don't like people messing with other people's money. It's like he has some influence, like he has a vlog, he has a Twitter profile, whatever, and it's like, why are you telling people to tip less? Like, you're basically influencing the pockets of other individuals.
Yeah, per
and
se.
it's like, why? Like, if it's my business, what I do, if I want to give this person $5, $10, whatever, and like, it's like, why are we doing that again? Like,
Yeah.
I think it's in poor taste.
Right. It's
Yeah.
kind
You
of
know?
weird because it's like, okay, if you don't want to tip, fine. But why are you trying to make other people not tip
Right.
too? I don't
Right.
know.
Well, I get the impression from follow-up tweets by like Kim Stone and others in the thread that he's been tip shamed.
Okay.
So it seems to me that he's addressing something that was
Well,
brought to
at
his
least
attention.
it was just the tip being shamed. not the whole
No one
thing.
wants to be shaft shamed.
Yeah, you
That-
can't
that's
shame the
abundantly
shaft.
clear.
Just shame
Right?
tips.
It's just, I've seen some tips in my day that deserve shaming.
Oh,
I gotta
yeah.
tell you.
That casting couch guy? That thing sucking.
Yo, this is crazy.
These guys coming in with a mushroom head that's 6 times the size of a
It should
shaft.
never
Like,
be that wide. Circumference
look
is
at
way too big.
Conrad. I mean, look at Landon's face.
It's just like we were talking about poker, man. We were talking about poker. We were just having a conversation about tip culture, and then this is where it's devolved.
well, we're still talking about tip culture. It's
tip
just a little
culture.
different.
Different type of tip culture.
This is not what I signed up for.
Yeah, with a mushroom slinger like that, you should just never be circumcised. You got to keep that thing under wraps.
yeah, at
This is
least
not
then
what the
it'll be
audience signed up for
tapered.
either.
It's
Right.
not going to be a straight,
Yeah,
I'm glad you guys are having a good time.
I'm having a blast.
Lex has been waiting for this conversation for so long. He's just laughing.
What's his nickname? Thor.
The
Thor's
hammer.
hammer.
The hammer. Okay, so like, yeah, I read into this, and maybe I'm incorrect, but it seemed as though like somebody had tip shamed him somewhere along the lines, and he felt the need to justify or come to his own defense with regards to how he chooses the tip.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a few layers to this. Like, so first and foremost, I think that so long as dealers are not being dealt or not being paid a fair wage, and by fair I mean a survivable wage without tips
From the casino.
Tipping culture will continue to exist and will need to exist. Otherwise, we'll see them disappear, right? As dealers disappear, games disappear. Like that's just, we already saw it with the series.
Yes.
Right? When they can't staff things, problems occur. So part of this does fall in the casino. And I think that that's a bigger conversation that we can get into after we discuss tipping as a whole, which is the idea of how rake plays into this, how much responsibility falls on the casino versus the player, et cetera, right? But the more important thing that I think is being discussed that is worth kind of diving into is I read that as he will not tip certain dealers or he'll tip dealers less, right? So say he wins 5 hands on a down or dealer A versus dealer B. I read that as dealer B, if they're good, will get $5 to $10, and dealer A, if they're not as good, will get like $1 to $4. Right? So like less than $1 per hand, $1 per hand or more on average.
Yeah.
Right? And he's basically saying on average, then it works out to him tipping $1 a hand. But the issue that I have with this is that I gave the example previously or off air of imagine you go to the same diner every day and there's 4 waiters or waitresses there that you see literally 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And 3 of those waiters or waitresses you tip 25% to, and then the 4th one you stiff or you give them 5% because you don't like their service, and on average you're giving 20%, right? That's kind of not okay, because even though that the service from that 4th waiter or waitress that you dislike or you feel is insufficient, even though it's your right to not pay gratuity to them because you don't feel they're doing a good job, it doesn't really serve the purpose that you would like it to. So tipping culture as it was created was an idea of being reward based off of service, right? But the way that companies have, or restaurants, whatever, the way ownership has incorporated it is it's now a base rate. It's not a bonus.
It's also pooled a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
But which I guess if it's pooled, this isn't that big of a conversation. It doesn't really matter. But if it's not pooled, it's very impactful, because what ends up happening is you don't encourage this person to do a better job necessarily, and they don't get fired, right? They just live off of a non-livable wage if everybody follows suit.
I don't know. Does it really not encourage them? Because I know when I was working for tips, like versus a job, like I'd worked jobs where I was working for tips versus not, and like my demeanor was much different when I was working for tips.
No, yeah, of course. I guess what I'm saying is like I
don't think many poker rooms pool the tips.
I think none.
Almost none do for poker.
Oh, they don't?
Not for poker.
Not for
That's good.
poker,
I
but
always,
on the
I always
floor,
thought
yeah.
maybe
They do on the floor though.
And I think that
All
leads
floor
that
tips
definitely
always.
leads to people tipping more. Right. Like when you
Pooled
know that
tips?
when you tip
No.
somebody, they're actually getting that. I think people get tipped. I think just in general, people tip
I'll
more.
ask a lot of the time.
Right.
When I used to
Yeah.
gamble a lot, I used to like never tip like toward like blackjack or like whatever, that type of stuff, because it was just always like, I know you guys are pulling tips. I'm not giving this directly to you. So like what I give you, it might go up a little bit, but it's like, I don't know.
Well,
It feels less impactful.
So I just threw a little bit. But
if tipping was created as a reward-based structure and somebody acts in a way that does not deserve a reward, why should they get the service or the treatment of actually doing something that is deserving of a reward?
Because what I'm saying is that it's evolved now to where it's a supplemental income thing.
Right.
It's not reward based. It's not a bonus on the money that they're making. It's
They
the
need
base.
it to survive.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
so in the responsibility standpoint, where does that come from the original aspect of it being reward-based to it now shifting to where you can do a average to below average job and still get the same treatment as someone that goes above and beyond?
I mean, that's what my thing with pooled tips, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's just,
I'm not
it's just
making-
a separate pool to
that
pump
we're
the-
derailing the conversation of what the tweet was, right? He's not saying like he's not saying he's not tipping these people. What he's saying is, if the pot was this much, I'm not tipping you more.
Well, that was his initial tweet, but then he followed up by saying like, I tip in this manner and it's reward based. And what I'm saying is,
Landon is saying is then,
but I'm saying it's not applicable. Like what basically I'm getting at is that the base rate for tipping is $1 per hand.
yes.
right.
Right. And if you tip less than that, then you do seem like a stiff because basically their bottom line is dependent upon these tips.
Sure.
And I think the real conversation to be had is should that responsibility fall on the patron?
So I think it's going to regardless because like I think if it wasn't relying on tips, they'd just raise rake.
I think the easiest way to solve this, and we do this often at the Win and at Bellagio, is that we just pre-tip. Where
that can't happen because like we're talking about normal casino games where the floor is open and just like you leave like whatever. It's not like a stream game where like there's the same 8 people.
You don't do this. Doesn't matter. You still pre-tip.
You pre-tip every beginning of the down.
In the down, right?
Yeah.
So like you run the bomb pot, and with the bomb pot comes you also tip the
so
dealer.
When you pre-tip, do you tip also after that or no?
You can, yeah.
Because I usually like do.
Right, but it's not now. It's not obligated. Not
Okay.
or soft obligated.
Because I just would feel weird dragging a pot and not tipping. Like when I was
they've been
playing
taken care of.
in Spain, it was weird to me like that people weren't tipping.
Right, you can always tip, right? Where no one's ever gonna tell you not to. But I'm saying it's like once the pre-tip's done, like the dealer made their money and the rake is already taken. Now we just play, right?
Yeah.
You don't
and that's fair, but you understand by doing that, all you're doing is increasing rake. Because now it's a fixture of the game.
Right.
Tipping is no longer optional. And
right, but I mean, we're gonna tip anyway, right?
Also, at the same point,
so that's why I'm saying that we have to figure out like if this responsibility is meant to fall on the patron or not.
Right.
Because we don't do this in tournaments anymore. Somewhere along the line, we realized that the tax to play was too high, and tipping additionally off on top of that was not our responsibility.
Right, but they take it from the rake.
Now they do.
Right, so but it's the same concept.
Cash could do the same thing.
But the
So you
problem
want
is
to increase the rake?
They already are.
They're increasing the rake, but they're not paying. Oh, and I don't know the numbers, right? I don't, but like I assume that they're increasing the rake, but not increasing the hourly of the dealer at the same rate.
But how much would they have to increase the rake for them to be paying the dealers a livable wage where?
We don't know what their P&L is at the end of the day.
Well,
but
I know
we know that's a big lot. Like,
according to the IRS, they're making $27 an hour.
Who is?
The dealers.
Is that including tips?
They have to
not
count their
including
tips.
That is the tip compliance.
Yeah.
So
that's what they pay taxes on.
That's what they're paying.
With tip $27.
No,
the way the tipping works is you claim like X%.
And basically, these casinos pay like $7 an hour, $7 or $8 an hour, basically
whatever minimum wage is.
Yeah, and that basically covers your tips. I mean, covers your taxes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, right. So I think that like you ask like how much higher does the rake have to get in order to cover it? Well, it's like start to look at the average rake across the only place so the reason why I think Lex is being vilified here is because he plays in a very cheap time game in Texas. In which case, you should be overly generous.
I think he lives in Florida.
I think he's in Florida too.
Oh, okay. I thought he was in Texas.
He wrote a tweet that says...
Okay, well, if he's in Florida, it's different because... well, no, but if he's playing 5-10 plus, he's paying time also, and it's going to be a lot cheaper. And in those instances, I was talking about this earlier. When I was grinding, coming up, playing like 2-5 plus, as a very active player who had a high VPIP and was winning a lot of hands, I was probably paying on average $10,000 a year, tipping $1 per hand.
Which is a lot.
Especially when you're playing those stakes, right? Now I'm playing like 10 to 20, well, somewhere between 10 to 100 times the stakes that I was playing back then. And I'm paying like $25K a year in tips. And I said that it's substantially less, not just relative to the stakes or anything along those lines, but actually the dollar impact is substantially less because I'm only paying $1,200 a year in rake. So I play probably 400 hours a year, paying $30 an hour in time, right?
That's cheaper.
So it's like $12,000 in rake, as opposed to back then when I was playing like raked games, playing 1,500 hours a year, getting raked, somewhere in the neighborhood of like $40 or $50 an hour. I'm probably paying somewhere in the neighborhood of like 25 to 45K a year just in rake, plus another 10K of tip on top.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, it's not even remotely close. And when you break it down into big blinds, I was paying like double to triple digits in rake of big blinds, somewhere in the triple digits in rake per big blinds, where now I'm playing like double digits.
You were winning 10 fully raked pots per hour?
Yeah, I think.
Holy shit.
I think that's reasonable.
That's definitely reasonable.
No, I mean,
not 10.
I'm not
Probably
saying
like
you weren't. I'm
6
just
or
saying
7.
that's a lot.
No, I mean,
per hour? Oh, never mind, per hour.
Probably getting
You're
like
getting 25 hands an hour ish.
no more than that for sure. Like low stakes, probably closer to like
30, I was
40.
thinking. I was
Yeah,
thinking
between 30 and 40 probably.
Usually get like 15
He's
hands
winning a
per
quarter
hour.
of them. And a 9 at a table.
Well, I mean, maybe it's slightly less.
No,
but
I guess.
I'm not saying you weren't. I'm just saying.
no. It easily could have been slightly less. But like, you're V-pipping back then.
It's still a lot.
I'm probably V-pipping like 40% on average.
You were still paying a lot more in rake back then than you are now.
So let's
Yeah,
bring
yeah.
this.
It just
the main
seems that
point.
tipping as a whole has changed from something that was potentially optional to now mandatory. Right?
Well, is that true though? Because like, were people that need to be that were living off tip, like whatever, have these jobs that from tips? Were they ever getting paid a base wage that was
No.
livable?
No. So that's why it's mandatory.
But no, that's what I was saying. He's saying at first it wasn't like
where from tip culture originating from the service industry of people having this job, and then if you give good service, you can then optionally, as the consumer, leave a tip for good service, right?
No, but the thing is that since they don't have a base salary,
did they have one prior to tip
No.
culture existing?
no, that's in America, like service industries work off tips.
Right,
Right.
but that had to start from somewhere, correct?
I don't
Maybe,
think those.
like, way,
I don't
way
think those
back.
ever like at least not in our time.
Sure.
That was a thing.
Exactly. I'm just saying it is from a business perspective so genius to then pay little to then have the consumer make up for more and compensate
Yeah, it
for
is.
base wage.
but it has changed in MTTs.
Yeah.
So
Why?
I think because
they hired the rate also.
No, they haven't though. It's like it's slightly
It's
more.
a
It's like
multitude of
11. It's like
reasons,
11% on average for rake. So like, what did it go up? 1%, 2% maybe.
Yeah.
But like, for instance, it's because of demand mostly, right? So the World Series this year upped their wage. I think they were paying $50 per down, something along those lines. Maybe 25
I think
per
it's
down.
25 per down, 50 per hour you get.
Yeah.
Right.
So
But it's not just that. It's a multitude of reasons, right? You're also don't have the pressure of it, right? Your peers aren't all around you watching you tip, so you can not tip and not be
Correct.
shamed, right? It's getting pulled, right? So like that also people I think tip less. In my
Right.
opinion,
They're
because
playing
it's going
off
in
of
their
the
pool,
psychology
right?
of being shamed.
Yeah, so I think it was easier for that to transition.
yeah,
because of the
what I'm
other
saying is
factors.
that operators are shirking the responsibility onto the patrons
Correct.
in cash because the patrons are policing one another, insisting that they all tip. And for what it's worth, like I come from a vantage point where it's like I'm an overly generous tipper. Like
Yeah, same.
the second I started playing 10-20 plus, I only tip $5 and I do it every hand that I win. Like I'm overly taxing myself. I'm harming my win rate tremendously.
I have a question. Sorry. When you're playing 10, 20 plus, like, does your tip, does it vary on the size of the pot at all? At all?
Yes, sometimes, yes.
Okay.
But that's not, I don't think there's any logic behind it, right? Like me winning a 100K pot at 50-100 may lead to me tipping 100, but it's just because like I by default like fall into generosity and I don't think about it in bottom line terms.
Yeah, of course.
Once you start adding it up and realizing how cumulative it is when you play so much, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's that, and it's also like it's unfair, right?
Yeah.
Because like basically that dealer just dealt a jackpot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even though
But
it's a very
fine.
small,
They want,
but it doesn't
that.
come out on the average.
I
Because if
know,
they
but
deal that
they feel-
jackpot to like say Lex, they get $1.
Yeah, that would suck for
Then
sure.
they
But
ran
like,
bad.
here's the
You
thing,
gotta
like, they,
deal
like,
it to someone else. Deal it to me. I'll pay you.
the reason why one of the reasons is like their hourly is just not enough, like without the tips, right? Like 'cause
Totally agree.
sometimes they don't even get to deal, right? They're dealing like they're stuck on a dead spread where like basically the casino or the floor is like, hey, we might get a game, we might
Right.
not get a game, but we need you out on the floor.
Just in
So they're
case,
just sitting
yeah.
at a table, like
Yeah,
just
they're
doing
making-
nothing.
And they don't-
$7 an hour.
And they don't
like-
receive that money. That money goes to tax.
Right. So they're
Right.
just they literally just work 30 minutes for free, right?
Yeah.
They're just like sitting there. So like that sucks. In terms of like what you're saying, like just being a little generous on the big pots, like they don't even expect it. They do expect the dollar, but like, you know, if they deal the jackpot, that's also like that's cool. Same thing like when if like for, you know, we don't apply to this anymore, but like when they would deal the bad beat, you know, like they deal the bad beat, like they expect something because that's like their like jackpot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
But I think overall that I find a problem with this.
go ahead.
And I'm thinking more so as the ecosystem as a whole. There's becoming too many taxes that are being shirked onto patron themselves. And it's becoming harder and harder and harder to survive as like a break-even player, right? And that's what the entire ecosystem thrives off of, is developing as many break-even players as humanly possible, because they're paying the lion's share of the rake, and they're keeping games afloat, right? So they're not really taking any money out, they're not really putting any money in, but they're facilitating the game to continue on, right? And the issue is that every time that you increase the tax, be it through rake or tip or a combination of both, what ends up happening is more of those break-even players start to fall into the negative, right? It's like, I'm openly saying that like I knew that I was harming my bottom line, but it was also a time frame where it didn't matter, because I might have been winning like 40 big blinds per 100 or 50 big blinds per 100. Like, I basically saw it as this is what you are obligated to do as the biggest winner in the pool.
It's just a tax to play the game.
Sort of, but now it's different, right? Now nobody has that win rate.
Yeah.
Like the best player in the pool is winning like a quarter of that, maybe half of that at most. On top of that, you have to grease palms to get into games. You have to give up pieces to get into games. You have to pay the rake in games. You have to pay the tip in games. You have to pay all of this like startup cost, right? But it just never goes away. At least with a startup, once you get everything fully funded and you get the ball rolling and you become successful, those costs dissipate.
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite in poker. As you try to reach scale, your costs continually climb. The only thing that kind of levels off is rake, right? Because once you start paying time, it does become a hell of a lot more affordable.
Yeah, but those games are also a little tougher.
Correct.
Like when you're
giving
playing,
up a lot of win rate now.
Right, you're playing 5, 10, 10, 20. Those games are not.
It's all balancing.
It's not the same.
It's all a balancing force.
Well, the big thing is that the people who are getting taxed the highest are the entry level players, and that's just terrible for the ecosystem. Truthfully,
You're saying because of the rake.
yes. Well, and the tip. When you're tipping $1 and 1-3, that's extremely relevant to your bottom line.
Right. So
That's a half a blind.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
So
In
the
a
rake,
regular pot, it's like 10%
the rake per
of the pot.
hand at a 1-3 game is 2 big blinds, right? Because if you include the tip, so they take 5 plus the 1. Now that's too big.
Some places are even
most
taking
is
more.
7. Most is 7 because
All right,
they
but
do
Vegas,
5.
but Vegas mostly is 5.
Mostly
Well, it's
5.
5 plus 2 mostly because they do the
Oh,
stupid
right.
high hand sit
That's
mostly
right.
at 1-2 and 1-3 games, except for like the win
That's
in
another
Bellagio.
additional tax.
Yeah.
So like all those smaller rooms that are 1-2, 1-3, they do like
Jackpots.
all the
Jackpot
jackpot
stuff.
shit. So they do $2
Bro, when I
per
first
hand.
started playing, rake was $3.
Yo,
Damn.
Mandalay Bay has like a shitload of fucking a 6-figure reserve of like parlay promotion money. Like they just ready to give away.
Yeah.
Like it's just like it's incredible how much money.
The laws around promotional money is very not player friendly. Also, it basically becomes marketing money where they can like I think the qualifier is it just needs to go back to the pool of players who collected it, but it's really really fucking loose
on
how that terminology works out. So it's like they could just do almost anything relatable to poker if that's where they pulled the money from, and it becomes acceptable.
So you're getting, so it is more like a rake because you
Correct.
you have a less, you don't have like an
what if
equal
they- It
can
opportunity
go to
to get
marketing,
it back.
it can go
Yeah,
to-
what if they put it towards marketing?
Well, that's
Correct.
That's
Exactly.
That's just
Exactly.
like offloading cost for them.
Exactly. So like Sherpa was a good example of this back when they very first started the was it
Sherpa-
5 million?
Serpo is Florida, right?
Yeah.
WPT.
Yeah.
Seminole Hard Rock Poker.
So when they very first ran the 5K or the $5 million guarantee, they were clearly not going to get it, and they were running a bad beat jackpot or a high hand jackpot, whatever, in the cash room, and they collected like hundreds of thousands of dollars. They started doing splash pots where they were giving away seats to the tournament. Well, these cash players don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them do. Don't get me wrong. Like, it was a massive opportunity.
Yeah.
But there are guys who are like grinding it out.
Right.
Where they're just like, you've been taxing me $2 a hand to give me a 30 or a 5K seat into a tournament that I don't want to fucking play, and it's non-transferable.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Warning, fair trade offer. Your money for something you don't actually want to do anyway.
Right. Right.
Do
So
you
it's like-
accept? Yes.
What are we
So-
what are we saying? Yeah.
So what I'm
hold
trying
on.
to say is that actually, and this will never happen, but it really should. It'll never happen because it's too profitable as it stands for the rooms, and the rooms are probably struggling enough with bottom line as it is.
Yeah.
But 1, 3, 2, 5 should be the time games, and the time should be small. When we first started playing 5-5, it was a time game. We paid $5 a half.
really.
Yeah, in
That sounds great.
Salamanca. And it felt like a huge tax because it was 200 min, 200 max. So it was a 40 big blind game.
Yeah.
and then come around every half and take a fucking blind off your stack. You know, we're just like, Jesus Christ, like I can't afford this. But the truth of the matter is the entry level games, and this would be very helpful too, because then they could start to spread smaller entry level games. If they ran time instead of tax, now all of a sudden, like,
then the stakes don't matter to them.
Right. Yeah. The stakes don't matter to them really at all. And on top of that, these lower levels will begin to flourish.
Just start growing.
It's not only that they'll grow, it's that they will sustain to the point where now people can decide whether they want to graduate out or not. Where as it stands, people just like die in these states.
Yeah,
also,
I mean, you're
I think
incentivized to move up or die, kind of.
The issue that I find, Burke, is like how it costs money for them to have those tables out on the floor, I guess.
The operating cost.
So like it would be hard for them to now openly lower their bottom line.
So hey, hold on. My question is, I think it would
work. I think it would work in situations where like those games, like they don't, like it's a casino that doesn't have many games anyway.
Well, not necessarily. So look at the average time that you pay whenever you're playing 5-10 plus, right? It's usually like a blind and a half.
Oh.
No, where?
Oh, an hour.
A half.
No, less.
$7.
Sorry. Yes, 3/4 of a blind.
Yeah,
it's usually like 3/4 of a blind. So if they charge like a full blind at the small stakes, or even if they just flattened it, it was a little bit more for 1-3. So at 1-3 they charge $5 a half. At 2-5 they charge $6. Right. So you're charging like somewhere between like a blind and a half and a blind. This is far more sustainable for that player pool than it would be if they were getting raked. And the rake probably isn't being decreased that much. So like if we look at the 2-5 level, right, they're paying $6 a half, 9 people. So you're looking at $54 every half hour. If they play 20 pots in that half hour that are max rake at $60, or sorry, it's $6. So it's like basically their rake got cut in half.
Right.
But they're also not playing 20 max rakes pots.
Right.
Sure. So it's probably got cut by somewhere around like 30%.
Well, like how is it more sustainable for the players if the overall rake that's being taken is not substantially less?
Well, it's substantial. Like a 30% rake decrease is substantial.
Yeah,
but it's not
like
it's not that substantial for the
house.
Happen,
the casino is going to take the hit, right?
No, not necessarily. You just make up for it in higher stakes.
That's what he's saying. He's saying switch it.
Yeah, you could just rake the higher stakes slightly more.
It's hard.
We get such a rake break at the high stakes.
Yeah, but the games are so hard.
So what?
I mean, that's the whole point. The reason why the rake is lower is because the game is harder.
No, that can't be the reason why. The casino doesn't care.
What about the places, the casinos that don't have those higher stakes, that only run 2-5? It's the highest game. You know,
well, that's the thing. It will incentivize them to run a 5-10.
Wait, the reason
and they'll have a more healthy ecosystem to move into 5-10. Go ahead, Jin.
Isn't the rake lower because the game is harder?
No. You think in 2007 they were charging time at 5-10 because the game was harder?
I don't know.
The word harder.
The answer is no.
I'm trying to figure out.
The word harder would never be in like the.
I always thought rake went down based on difficulty of game.
No, the reason it goes from rake to time is because raking would be cumbersome in games that have no $1 chips in them.
Yes.
And the time dollar amount that they choose is just based off of what they would expect the rake to be. So
they just pick an average.
Well, the thing is whether you're playing $1, $2, or 100 or 200, they effectively still cap it at whatever their house cap is, right? So they don't. It's only proportionally more or less based off of stakes because the cap is set at what the cap is set at.
So maybe that's an online thing.
What's an online thing?
The rake is lower as you move up based on difficulty of game.
But it wasn't always that way.
I don't know if it's because of difficulty, just because there's more money involved and they can take. There's just more. It's more money proportional.
Yeah.
Right. Because now when you're playing 2-5 or I think if I recall 2-5 rake being capped at I think $2. Maybe it's a blind or something. Maybe
it depends on where.
Whenever you get to like 25.50 online, it's not still capped at $3, is it?
I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have a hard cap, and the reason why rake is less is because there's just more money on the table anyways, and percentage of big blind wise, it's less. Yeah. Right? If you're paying $3 max,
that's what I'm saying. Like when the cap is set, it just scales to being less as you go up in stakes.
Yeah, it's not difficult. It just gets harder because there's less people playing because there's less money, and poker is tough.
Right.
So the games are harder.
But what I'm saying in the inverse is, rather than operating off of like some like cap that exists, you can just lessen the burden to the lower stakes and slightly increase to the upper stakes. Like if you're playing 5-10 and they raise the time from $7 to $9, you're not going to make it's not going to make any difference at all, right? Like, I mean, you know, there's going to be some nit that notices it, but when you actually look at how the rake is increasing across town, it's always the 1, 3, and 2, 5 level. You know, Venetian goes from raking 5 a hand cap to 7 a hand cap.
Wait, Venetian 7?
Well, I think it's 5+2.
Oh, okay.
But I know it's the highest rake in town.
Well, 5 plus 2 is 7.
Yeah, and then like 6 became industry standard. Like I said, when I first started, it was $3. So like it's gradually always they just keep taxing $1, and they do it because like that's where the majority of the players are coming from, and they view it as like it being a sustainable pool where even if they rake a player to death, it doesn't make a difference because there'll be somebody else to fill in that seat.
It's also just a tourist pool.
Yeah,
kind of.
But I think they're missing the greater point where like you can't rake. I mean, you could obviously like, but private games are a perfect example, right? Private games don't set the rake at. They don't cap it based off of some arbitrary number for the low stakes, right? They don't say like, oh, $5 cap rake. No, they take like 20% up to $100 or something ridiculous. Like they'll take upwards of a blind, depending on what stakes you're playing. And, you know, we always say like, wow, that's just unsustainable, yada, yada, yada. You can't beat it. But the truth of the matter is you can if high win rates are available. And, you know, that could be the casino's argument is like, we rake these low stakes so much because the win rate available is so high. And it's like, okay, yeah, sure, that's true to a degree. But there's also like far less money in these stakes
to be raked.
Yes, correct. So it's like you are much closer to damaging the overall health. And that doesn't include tipping, right? The tipping aspect, we're missing the whole reason why this conversation got brought up. The tipping aspect is very impactful.
Yeah.
At the 1-3 level, like the tip aspect of where you are absolutely expected to tip $1 per hand is crippling.
Yeah, you're getting extorted.
Yeah.
It's extortion.
You're probably not like
it's selective extortion, right? Because if you don't give the tip, people look at you like,
relax, Kanye.
I mean, a winning player at 1-3 is probably tipping somewhere between 1 and 2 big blinds per hour. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Why are you being
more,
raked
right?
that much?
Because if people go off the premise of bigger pot equals more tip, and then they win, they stack someone and give a red bird, right?
Yeah.
Not for nothing. I would say tips at the lower stakes are probably more than.
No, they are. They are. I know that because Lynn tells me that. Like when you play, like the lower stakes actually tip you more because they're way more. They're generous. Like they'll stack someone.
They just don't know. They don't think about bottom line
they're
at
just
all.
having fun and they win.
They're having fun.
A lot of them are just recreational players.
Now,
right.
But I think that's the argument I thought why the pre-tip at the higher stakes 5, 10, 10, 20 is just better for the dealers, where it's just like, look, let's just take care of the dealer. Let's do the bomb pot, take it from there, $20 each, whatever.
Yeah, it's probably good.
Like they just take 20 off the jump. And
it's a solution. Yeah,
it's a solution at least. Like, and it keeps the game, moving.
It's nice.
It's nice.
Do you see more tips?
It means that their tips don't scale though, because now they're averaging like $1.25 per hand.
Mm-hmm. The tips don't scale, but they also are.
Someone might throw you something. Like if someone who wins a huge pot, like they're gonna throw you something. They're not just
and you're not gonna have bad downs either.
You're never gonna have a bad down, right?
That's the good part about it.
You increase the floor. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Do you see like tips being thrown around after doing the pre-tips, like and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not often. Like it's less often, but it happens.
When I've played the time games, like there's no one that's not tipping.
You were playing private games for the most part. Yeah, and everybody was kind of fun in the lineup. So
No, but what I'm saying, did you do the pre-tip?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Then
so for the down, it was $10 per person for the bomb pot.
Right. And then they take the tip from there.
20 out of that for themselves. Yeah.
Even after my small stint in like playing when I go to the casino to actually play poker, they do the time pre-tip for the bomb pot. And then after when it pots, like I still feel like self-conscious. I'm like, here's $1.
I know. I know.
It's still money.
It's like a weird social pressure thing.
It's also about like just being fun, being in the flow, like keeping everybody's happy. You want the dealer to be happy, like it's just like
I don't know, man.
You have to remember, like, okay, I want to make the argument for Lex. Like he's a professional poker player, right? And even though we're saying like, these environments, you want to keep them fun, et cetera, like he still has to make money at the end of the year to sustain himself as a professional poker player. And maybe he cannot just give away $12,000 like Berkey can, because he's not playing those kind of games. He's playing tougher games. And he's like, look, I tip $1 a hand and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Chin's side for this one. I'm by no means a nit, and I'm certainly not somebody who is ever really taking the worst of it taking the best of it when it comes to tipping. Like that scenario of like you have 4 waiters that you see every single day, like the worst one is always still going to get the 20%.
25%, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, I understand how tipping culture works, and like I have it to give, so like I'm just generous. But I'm realizing as this conversation comes up how important it is, because it's something that does go on in like largely undiscussed in our industry. And it's making me hyper aware of why tournaments are going to continue to flourish moving forward, and why cash is going to very slowly continue to die.
Because of the money in the ecosystem.
Yeah, it's just you can't get a big enough influx.
That's why I'm becoming a tournament pro.
But
Fuck these cash games.
That's why
These
tournaments.
cash games, and
What
they're
happened?
taking my dollar out of every pot I take.
Tortoise,
that.
what happened with you and your cash games?
Who hurt you? Who hurt you, Tortoise?
Listen, I'm in it for the glory.
Okay.
And there's no glory in cash games.
That's
But-
fair.
I want the hardware, just like Cuz.
It really does it really does have a massive impact on your bottom line, and it goes unseen, right? So like if you look at your big blind per hour or big blind per 100 win rate at the end of the year, that's post tip, post rake, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I really first started to examine this whenever I was like looking into backing more people, right? So I know like when Landon and I were discussing like how to set up his thing and everything else, it was just like, okay, well, understand that part of you being a part of this deal and part of us wanting a bigger piece is the fact that your rake is paid, your tips are paid, and your massage is all paid, like or your food or like whatever. All these expenses are coming straight off of our side.
Let me quickly clarify. I have not gotten a single fucking massage.
I was going to say, are
You
hookers
could've.
included too?
I mean,
or
like
what?
you could have.
I
Like,
wouldn't-
I
Yeah,
know,
the
I would-
problem is, like,
I
if
don't
you
think
go-
that's a big deal.
I know.
you go to-
I'm just memeing. I'm just memeing.
If you go to a private game and there's like a massage, I don't need a massage.
Right.
It's like, bro.
Imagine
you're
getting,
losing
imagine, getting imagine getting invited to a private game.
Not with you
One
saying
day.
I never get a massage.
we're gonna work on you. Don't worry.
Just keep
We'll
doing
get to that.
hikes instead of playing poker, and
I'm
you'll
doing great.
get
I'm
in
living
there.
the dream. I understand like Matt's point.
But-
when
yeah,
it
yeah,
comes
but-
to-
But like that's
Berk,
what
you
I'm
were
saying
saying,
is
yeah.
that it's like cash is already moving into a private realm, right? And in the casino aspect, that's okay from or it's actually preferred from a tax standpoint, right? Because now you do get all of these perks, so to speak. Lowered rake, you do the pre-tip. Well, not lowered compared to paying.
The rake is higher when it's private.
It doesn't have to be.
Okay.
Also
Some
depends,
places
though.
are doing that, some aren't. Like
Okay.
the rake wasn't higher when we were at Bellagio.
It's higher than if it was a normal 100 game.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I think we paid the same. I think they cut them a break.
Okay,
I know
it could be. It could
yeah,
be.
I know what
Okay.
you're saying. Like that was the policy of like Aria. Like you pay 200 a half instead
Yeah.
of like 90 or something like that. But even still, like relative to the stakes that you're playing,
Yeah, still low.
it's still very low. So you get kind of a tax break, so to speak, as it moves private, and you get the increased win rate because the games are obviously cultivated in a soft capacity.
Yeah.
Which now leaves the public game to being very low available win rate
High
with a
tax.
relatively high tax according to the win rate.
Yeah.
Right? And this only trickles down in a negative way towards the lower stakes. Yes, the win rate goes up, but so does the tax. And it's almost at like a 1-to-1 rate. So it's like whether you're playing 1-3 or the biggest game in the room, the tax and win rate available are kind of like offsetting in a big way for the majority of the pool.
Yeah. So basically, it seems like I want to get our fucking dealers paid. We need to have the dealers paid. Like, if we don't have dealers, we don't have games. So how do we figure this out? Do we think that like lowering the tax is better? Just like making it $4 a half?
I think what
$5
Berkey's
a half?
saying makes some sense. Like it like if I was playing 5-10 at Bellagio and it was 10 instead of 7, I really wouldn't care. I don't think many pros would care. You know,
From a sheer marketing standpoint,
it is half a big blind an hour.
from a sheer marketing standpoint, if like let's say the Bellagio tomorrow released a campaign for everybody to know. And they said, we're switching to it being a time room, similar to what Texas does. And you no longer have to tip the dealers because we are paying them X amount per hour.
Okay.
Right? So like they just put out a banner. They say like, look, we're paying $50 an hour to our dealers. So tipping is not required. $40 an hour to our dealers, whatever. So tipping is not, it's welcomed, but it's not required.
I was about to go get a job there, dude.
Go ahead.
Well, just use like the $27 an hour that they use, right? Just when it comes
But they're making way more than that.
Yeah.
More dealers?
Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
No, they're making way more than that.
I don't think that's true. I mean, it depends on where you're dealing. Like, I don't think in a lot of rooms that's really true.
What?
Like, I think people can easily make like 15 per down on average in the smaller stakes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. 15 per down.
15 per down times 2.
Yeah, it's whatever. 30.
30.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Plus your base pay.
rate.
Well,
It's like $40 an hour.
Yeah, but the base pay you never see. And
Bro, that's not how fucking pay works. Like, yes, you get taxed. Everybody gets fucking taxed.
I got fucking taxed. Everyone's getting taxed. I paid so much money in goddamn taxes. All y'all getting taxed.
Like, yeah, but you're still making them more of an hourly than that. So whatever. Like, say they come out and they say, you know, we're paying our dealers $40 an hour. You're welcome to tip, but it's not expected. However, we're now switching to time, and the time is going to be stake based. So at the low stakes, we're going to charge at 1-3, we're going to charge 2 big blinds, so $6 per half. Or maybe that's too high. Let's call it $5, whatever. At 2-5, we're going to charge $7 per half. 5-10, we're going to charge $10 per half. 10-20, we're going to charge $25 per half. Like whatever, and it just goes through the stakes like that. Would you, as somebody who plays regularly, find that to be off-putting? Like knowing what you're paying now without realizing what you're paying in tip?
No.
Because what's 10-20 right now? 15?
No, plus 9.
10-20?
Yeah.
10-20 40 is 9?
Yeah.
Bro, they're letting us get away with
Get in
fucking
there.
murder.
It is robbery from the higher stakes people.
Yeah, go sit. It's fucking hard.
I would love
robbery. Go sit.
I accept your challenge. I accept your challenge.
Okay, so like you're paying 9 in rake, but like with tip, you're probably paying like 13, 14. Yeah. Okay, so like what I'm basically saying is, what if they just averaged it out to fix your tip in with the time?
Yeah, it's fine. That's what we do anyway.
Yeah.
Because we're doing the bomb pod pre-tip.
People are still going
Right.
to tip on top of it, though.
Yeah. Which is great. I'm just saying, like, if like, is it a marketing thing that is preventing these rooms from
Right, because your
switching?
bottom line doesn't really change.
Correct.
Do you think that's off-putting?
No,
Like-
personally, I think it's fine, but it's because I've thought about this, right?
Okay.
I think if I just woke up tomorrow and had never considered how tipping affects my bottom line, how rake affects my bottom line, or anything like that, and the Bellagio came out and said, like, look, we're doubling the time at every stake, I'd be like, yo, this is the most expensive room in the house, like, or in the city. I'm not playing there.
Yeah, I guess I can see what you're saying.
I mean, I think it'd be split the way people think, right? Some people would think that way, and some people would say, like, hey, that's as good. I don't have to tip, or I don't have to be, obligated to tip. And then there's other people who are saying that, like, well, I'm going to tip anyway, so they're just raising my rake, and I'm still going to tip.
That's
so,
like how I feel.
right? So like, yeah, right. You're like, or like, I'm still going to change me. I'm still going to tip them.
I'm still going to feel social
Yeah.
pressure to
I mean,
tip
yeah,
out
yeah.
to her.
It's actually
Yeah.
wild, right? Because at a 1-3 game, if you're paying 5, right? It's 5. If you win 2 pots in a down, you're paying $10.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
you win 2 pots.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really good for the winning player, and it's really good for, or I guess it's like slightly better for the biggest losers, right? Because they're probably the ones that are contributing to rake the most by playing the most amount of hands.
Yeah.
It's probably just a oversight from the populace, right? Where no one really crunches the numbers or even thinks about it. They just
The other
show
reason
up.
why this would be really
play.
good for everybody involved is because it would allow you to change the structure of cash games to include an ante. It would allow you to encourage a lot more multi-way play. Basically, everything that would make live a lot more, a lot higher in variance and a lot more sustainable, because the winners would kind of have to suffer swings a little bit
There'd
more.
be less 3-bets. Tortoise likes that.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't think that's true.
There's just gonna be more calls, so you get to see some flops.
There you go.
But like all of that would basically all the things that are ruining live cash now would kind of fall away. So it's not that difficult of an argument to educate people to say, like, look, by switching from rake to time, even though we're going to increase the expense of time, and by taking away tips, or by factoring that in effectively, because like the house wouldn't even have to do it. What Christian's saying is valid. If every game switched to a time game, every game would then just have a pre-tip. And that's also just fine, right? It's effectively the exact same.
If every game switched to a house game, every game, I don't think that's true.
I do.
Or with the bomb pot at the start of every
down.
down.
Oh, guys, there's no bomb pots in 1-2, 1-3.
There
2,
would
5.
be if you played time.
Or you could just or it could just be $10, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
like there are people that sit out the bomb pot and they
still
just
chuck
pay
tip.
extra.
Yeah.
They just pay. They just pay.
Well, they just pay their fair share.
their fair share of the
Right.
tip. So you can do that too. It's fine.
But like all of it is a byproduct of there being time. The dealer sits down and says like, give me money.
I get what you're saying.
And so like everybody just says, okay, we're going to give you money once. And like, that's a thing now. So it's like, if we could shift the culture in that way and then start encouraging houses to shift the structure of the games as well, where it's like multiple blinds, antes, all of these things that encourage like looser play,
Yeah.
then I think the ecosystem starts to thrive a little bit more,
And
right?
the generous people will still be generous.
100%. They're always going to tip. It's just like MTTs. Like
people that win FTT, they're gonna tip.
by tournament professionals going out there saying like, stop tipping on the main event. You giving away $100,000 so that everybody can make an extra $50 is meaningless, right? That didn't stop very wealthy individuals who win money from tipping $100,000.
Right. It's not going to stop people that play and like win, lose, donate to charity from stopping doing that.
Right. Exactly.
Right. They're just going to be a good, nice person anyways because they can.
And the thing is like, you saw what happened with WSOP. Like dealers stopped showing up because the wages weren't competitive. And that's a byproduct of like the pooled tips going down year over year over year over year, because more and more professionals are being educated and understanding like, I can't pay this tax on top of my winnings tax on top of the rake.
Yeah, I've had
There's
these
also
conversations.
like you see European players come and like I played with some at in like the cash room during WSOP and like none of them were tipping.
Yeah, so I was
Because
gonna
they're
say,
not used to
not
it.
part of their
They're not
culture.
used
yeah,
to
so I
it.
was about to actually tie that in because like in Europe, you don't tip at all. And what is the tax there? Like, what is the
The
rate?
rake's higher.
Like, how high?
I don't know exactly, but I remember when I went, I was warned before I went to Barcelona to like when I was like gonna play cash there, I was warned that it was very high. But then with no tipping, I don't know. I felt like balances out.
Right, exactly, because now the business is taking the cost of the tips that you were giving,
Correct.
and it's now from the business side, not the patron side.
Well,
I feel
it's-
like
it is because it's rake.
Yeah.
Right.
No, what he's saying is like, it's their
The
responsibility
business,
to compensate the
business pays
dealer.
the salary for the dealer. You don't
right,
have
but
to
it's
do
still
that.
coming from us.
Yes.
Yeah, that like the companies they're always gonna find a way, right?
Offload their costs.
Yeah, to push the cost onto
that's
the
fair.
onto the
Consumer.
consumer.
I think
right?
what Berkey's saying is pretty reasonable though.
Yeah, I like it.
like raising the rake a little bit to 5, 10, 10, 20, which they won't like because the game's already hard. So like pay more.
That's hard.
Wait, is 1020 hard?
What's the time at 510? $6?
7.
7.
7, and then win 1020 is 8. I believe win 1020 Bellagio is 9.
That's
not
like such
that
a small jump
Yeah.
for a
1020
cap
is-
game to an
yeah.
uncapped game.
Oh, basically, just wrapping this up. We think that we should
I'm
lower
gonna play 2-5.
lower the 1-2,
Can't beat the rake, bro.
2-5 to $5 a half, something like that. Up the rake in the high stakes, and when we do that, it just not by changing it to rake, like whatchamacallit.
Time.
Yeah, just leaving it time, but just upping it a little bit more, just so they can cover their bottom line and just keep the ecosystem going.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we want.
Yeah, I think
We want poker to live.
Yeah, that does make sense to kind of just it's
Gonna have
spread-
everyone.
it's spreading out the wealth, right?
You're gonna have everyone going north at 1-3. Took 10K on the table all of a sudden. Every dealer changing out a 1K chip.
I mean, I'm pro generosity, but I think I'm also pretty heavily pro getting rid of tip in cash games.
And making it a selective thing where it makes sense.
I don't think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And I think the dealers probably would like it because they get their guaranteed number and
Sometimes it depends.
No.
There's higher variance.
No, we're saying if they just paid
I can't with this chipmunk
30
over here.
It's
30 or 40
crazy.
bucks an hour.
It's crazy.
Well, what you're
If
doing,
they just paid a normal hourly.
yeah, what you're doing is
house.
you're raising the floor of the dealer's wages. You're not
Right.
upping the
yeah,
ceiling.
because there will still be people who
Right. So if people are mad about the wage overall, you increase the floor. You don't maximize the ceiling.
I
So
think that's a
your
good way to ensure that you keep people employed.
Yeah, exactly. That's the gold in it.
Right. That's why you get employed in the first place, because there's no gamble of variance of how much money you're going to make this hour.
Right.
You now just know, okay, your floor is higher.
Mm-hmm.
Smart.
All right.
Very smart, Matt.
All right.
It's like I run a business.
Wow, do you?
No.
It kind of the inmates are
The
running
inmates
asylum.
run the asylum.
The inmates do run the fucking asylum here at the Only Friends podcast. And on that note, tomorrow we will be back with my man, fucking Jamin Burton from the Drawn Dead vlog.
Right.
I can't wait. We
We got
some
barbecue.
We got some fucking barbecue on the way. We blackmailed fucking Lamana to make us some pulled pork
We
tomorrow.
got some pulled
Oh,
pork.
yeah. We
Gonna have
extorted
some
him.
baked beans, some
Extorted.
coleslaw, all the good stuff.
Wow, we got
Berkey won't be here.
we got sides too.
We got sides too.
Oh, I'm
Yeah, some
excited,
baked
man.
beans.
What are you doing tomorrow, Burke?
Live at the bike.
Live
Berkey?
at the bike. All right.
Gotta go try to win some money paying some extra tips.
Okay.
Leave a half hour before you think you should leave for the airport. We need to get you there. We want to watch you on the
That's
train.
never gonna happen. Burke's
I
only gonna
know.
play on Friday because he's
Wait,
gonna miss
time
his
out.
flight like
What is
85%
this
of the
Big
time.
Bet Poker?
They changed the name.
They changed the name.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Big Bet Berkey.
Big Bet Berkey for Big Bet Poker.
Berkey's going on Big Bet
I know
Poker.
because I had to
That's a lot
record.
of
I
I can't even
had
say
to
it.
It's a lot of
re-record.
bees.
I had to re-record my things that I recorded with them to fit the new name.
What are you guys playing tomorrow?
51-1, I think, and Baccarat Dave is going to be there.
Wait, my friend,
Yeah.
my man, fucking Dave. All right, we're doing a watch party tomorrow,
I think the
guys.
accountant is going to be there too. He's great.
The account. They were both there the last time you would play with them.
They didn't. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
they played together, yeah.
They
Not
did.
the last time, but a few times ago.
Okay, yeah.
When you did well.
Yeah. No.
No, you won 90.
They weren't both in that game.
Oh,
Only Baccarat Dave was in that game.
Baccarat.
I'd like to increase
one way
my
to say
keys.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to increase my piece. He
Shout out
says.
to Doug R, who gave us $2.50 and said half a big blind.
Shout out to Doug. All right, thank you for your super chat.
I hope you don't
need
feel
it.
extorted.
I need
On that note, we will be back tomorrow with my man Jamin. And have a great day, guys.
Peace.
Peace.
Go tip some.